heard, save the sullen dead beat of his hoofs upon the grass. It was intolerable to ride thus cheek by jowl with a goblin. Dick could stand it no longer. He put spurs to his horse and endeavoured to escape, but it might not be. The stranger, apparently without effort, was still by his side, and Bessie's feet, in her master's apprehensions, were nailed to the ground. By and by, however, the atmosphere became clearer. Bright quivering beams burst through the vaporous shroud, and then it was that Dick discovered that the apparition of Tom King was no other than Luke Rookwood. He was mounted on his old horse Rook, and looked grim and haggard as a ghost, vanishing at the crowing of the cock. "Sir Luke Rookwood, by this light!" exclaimed Dick in astonishment. "Why, I took you for—" "The devil, no doubt," returned Luke, smiling sternly, "and was sorry to find yourself so hard pressed. Don't disquiet yourself. I am still flesh and blood." "Had I taken you for one of mortal mould," said Dick, "you should have soon seen where I'd have put you in the race. That confounded fog deceived me, and Bess acted the fool as well as myself. However, now I know you, Sir Luke, you must spur alongside, for the hawks are on the wing, and though I've much to say, I've not a second to lose." And Dick briefly detailed the particulars of his ride, concluding with his rencontre with Barbara. "Here's the packet," said he, "just as I got it. You must keep it till the proper moment. And here," added he, fumbling in his pocket for another paper, "is the marriage document. You are now your father's lawful son, let who will say you nay. Take it and welcome. If you are ever master of Miss Mowbray's hand, you will not forget Dick Turpin." "I will not," said Luke, eagerly grasping the certificate. "But she may never be mine." "You have her oath." "I have." "What more is needed?" "Her hand." "That will follow." "It shall follow," replied Sir Luke, wildly. "You are right. She is my affianced bride. Affianced before hell, if not before heaven. I have sealed the contract with blood, with Sybil's blood, and it shall be fulfilled. I have her oath. Her oath! Ah, though I perish in the attempt, I will wrest her from Ranulph's grasp. She will never be his. I would stab her first. Twice have I failed in my endeavours to bear her off. I am from Rookwood even now. Tomorrow night I shall renew the attack. Will you assist me?" "Tomorrow night?" interrupted Dick. "Nay, I should say tonight. A new day has already dawned," replied Luke. "I will. She is at Rookwood?" "She languishes there at present, attended by her mother and her lover. The hall is watched and guarded. Ranulph is ever on the alert. But we will storm their garrison. I have a spy within its walls, a gipsy girl, faithful to my interests. From her I have learnt there is a plot to wed Eleanor to Ranulph, and that the marriage is to take place privately tomorrow. This must be prevented." "It must. But why not boldly appear in person at the hall, and claim her?" "Why not? I am a proscribed felon. A price is set upon my head. I am hunted through the country, driven to concealment, and dare not show myself for fear of capture. What could I do now? They would load me with fetters, bury me in a dungeon, and wed Eleanor to Ranulph. What would my rights avail? What would her oath signify to them? No, she must be mine by force. His she never shall be. Again, I ask you, will you aid me?" "I have said, I will. Where is Alan Rookwood?" "Concealed within the hut on Thorn Waste. You know it. It was one of your haunts." "I know it well," said Dick, "and Conky Jem its keeper into the bargain. He is a knowing file. I'll join you at the hut at midnight, if all goes well. We'll bring off the wench in spite of them all. Just the thing I like. But in case of a breakdown on my part, suppose you take charge of my purse in the meantime." Luke would have declined this offer. "Pshaw!" said Dick. "Who knows what may happen? And it's not ill lined either. You'll find an odd 100 or so in that silken bag. It's not often your highwayman gives away a purse. Take it, man. We'll settle all tonight. And if I don't come, keep it. It will help you to your bride. And now off with you to the hut, for you are only hindering me. Adieu. My love to old Alan will do the trick tonight. Away with you to the hut. Keep yourself snug there till midnight, and we'll ride over to Rookwood." "At midnight," replied Sir Luke, wheeling off. "I shall expect you." "Where hawks?" hallooed Dick. But Luke had vanished. In another instant Dick was scouring the plain as rapidly as ever. In the meantime, as Dick had casually alluded to the hawks, it may not be amiss to inquire how they had flown throughout the night. and whether they were still in chase of their quarry. With the exception of Titus, who was completely done up at Grantham, having got, as he said, a complete bellyful of it, they were still on the wing, and resolved sooner or later to pounce upon their prey, pursuing the same system as heretofore in regard to the post horses. Major Mowbray and Patterson took the lead, but the irascible and invincible attorney was not far in their rear, his wrath having been by no means allayed by the fatigue he had undergone. At Bawtrey they held a council of war for a few minutes, being doubtful which course he had taken. Their incertitude was relieved by a foot traveller, who had heard Dick's loud halloo on passing the boundary of Nottinghamshire, and had seen him take the lower road. They struck, therefore, into the path at Thorn at a hazard, and were soon satisfied they were right. Furiously did they now spur on. They reached Selby, changing horses at the inn in front of the venerable cathedral church, and learnt from the postboy that a toil-worn horseman on a jaded steed had ridden through the town about 5 minutes before them, and could not be more than a quarter of a mile in advance. "His horse was so dead beat," said the lad, "that I'm sure he cannot have gone far. If you look sharp, I'll be bound you'll overtake him before he reaches Corwood Ferry." Mr. Coates was transported. "We'll lodge him snug in York Castle before an hour, Patterson," cried he, rubbing his hands. "I hope so, sir," said the chief constable, "but I begin to have some qualms." "Now, gentlemen," shouted the postboy, "come along. I'll soon bring you to him." End of Chapter 11, Book 4.